Thank you, everybody, for joining us back here at Nubeva's channel. We're sitting here once again with Randy, the Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Greg Bannister is joining us today, the Chief Technology Officer. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic and great to have you back, Mike.
I'm doing well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Randy, it's been a while. I'm about 50 pounds lighter since I think I last saw you. So
That's
probably
great.
see a Taylor here soon. And Greg, it's great to get you on and chat with you too. There's a lot happening, gentlemen. And Greg, it's really good that you're joining us for this one. It's going to be a lot of stuff on your part too. But Randy, kick us off.
Absolutely. We got a press release going out on, we haven't talked to you for a while, and there was a very specific reason, I think. We were advised by council and directed by our board to focus on our TLS asset sale, which was released in our MD&A. I'm happy to announce that we have sold the TLS assets for $1 million US to a mid-sized US-based cybersecurity company. And the best part of it is we are able to retain our existing OEM deals indefinitely. And so that's as powerful, or frankly, more powerful than the $1 million itself. At the same time, I'm sad to say that Greg and some team members are moving on because they were always more focused on TLS. And we are promoting our main architect, Maxim Pak, who focuses on ransomware and who will be taking over engineering. Okay, so I'll let Greg say some things. I know we've been talking about getting Greg into our videos a while back, and it's sadly we're getting him on his final one. All right, Greg.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Randy. I think in many ways it's sad to be leaving Nubeva, but I actually honestly think that this is this is going to be best for Nubeva. I think being able to take this TLS asset sale and keep the licensing for it, so keep the value of what's happening with Nubeva in Nubeva, and to be able to take the technology and have a mid-sized US-based cybersecurity company take hold of that technology and actually implement it and get the technology widely distributed through many different places is actually really powerful and really useful for Nubeva. And the technology itself is it's not straightforward. It's not really simple thing to integrate into an existing product. So it makes sense that engineers, and myself included, be involved in doing that integration for the company which is purchasing it, and being able to take that technology and scale it out and make it really useful is going to be of benefit to that company, to Nubeva, and to a whole bunch of people. I'm actually really quite excited about the technology and the further uses that it's going to be put to.
That's fantastic, Greg. And so the outcome of this is obviously we're cash flow positive for calendar 2024, and we're targeted to be the same in calendar 2025, which is the best news of it.
Yeah. And well, Greg, it sounds like you're leaving on very amicable terms. And Randy, also this, as you had mentioned, this allows you guys to really focus on the ransomware side of the business, correct?
Right. So we were always focused more on the ransomware than TLS for the last at least a year and a half or so. But now we're solely focused on ransomware, which is it's always extremely important and powerful when you're a startup to be solely focused on just one thing.
I was just going to say that I've been working with Maxim very closely for I can't count how many years now, for a long time, and I actually count him as a good personal friend. So we're going to be still catching up and talking about all this technology. It's going to be fantastic, and he does a great job. He's brilliant.
Wonderful. So then, at the same time, you had mentioned AI being incorporated to leverage. You're leveraging AI for efficiency with the ransomware now. Now, AI has been obviously one of the biggest bombastic terms for the past, I would say, a year and a half now. How are you going to be utilizing AI? Can you break it down for people?
Absolutely. And I give you a lot of credit for introducing that to me. I think it was one of these videos where November, not last year, but the year before, where you told me, have you tried this thing called ChatGPT? And so we give you all the credit. But absolutely, I think we've been focusing on AI, on key extraction. We filed patents on that. We're going to continue doing so. But at the same time, I think what we realized late last year was, the ransomware agents were fantastic. And at the same time, we had customers calling us whenever they got hit by a ransomware, or partners were bringing them in. And we were very successful with those. However, once there were 3 to 5, sometimes we had 10 on a weekend at the same time, it absolutely overwhelmed us. I think from a support standpoint, every single entity that gets hit by ransomware, it is a crisis. It is one of the largest crises, if not the largest one, on that entity ever in its history. And so they want to make sure that there's enough people supporting them. And that's something that we are not essentially equipped to do. We're just not funded to have that kind of that many headcounts supporting that many accounts in fires at the same time. And so this is where AI comes in. I think we've been working with several companies, including some that have been funded by OpenAI, to be able to support enterprise folks instantly and intelligently, so they don't feel like they have to be talking to a senior person in the company every single time, and they can get what they need directly from the AI itself. And so not only are we building out the AI, but at the same time, we're working with a number of different AI companies in an extremely well-funded industry right now to find solutions and efficiencies that we wouldn't be able to get ourselves.
Wonderful. And this is definitely something that's going to be marching across all industries from here on out. And to kind of tie it into it, when you had described that to me, the fact that these companies essentially enter crisis mode, it really makes sense because in the moment, you guys are essentially functioning as an emergency service for them. So they're all hands on deck, and this is the primary thing on their brains. They're probably not sleeping well at night, and they're trying to figure this out. And it really makes sense that you're trying to target this scaling point. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the other important thing to note is that when this crisis is going on, the company obviously is all hands on deck, but that means everybody, from the CEO and the board and everybody, and they need continuous updates as to how things are going and what's going on. And so one of the things that AI is going to help with is taking the current status of where all the engineers are and what they're doing to get to the root cause of the problem, and summarizing that up into a way that people can understand without taking time out of those engineers' work to do that. And that is really critical, because during that time when everybody is all hands on deck and you need to solve the problem as quick as you can, taking time out of those engineers to actually understand the problem, to summarize and put it into a way that everybody can understand is really critical. It's really, really helpful to offload all of that processing from the people who are working with bits and bytes.
Yep.
Who need to focus on that.
Absolutely. That is a job in itself, translating the incredibly complex stuff that the engineers are dealing with into something that your standard executive or someone like me would actually be able to understand, and at the same time be reaffirmed that things are heading in a positive direction.
And AI is fantastic at that too.
Yep. And so what this means is, in the meantime, we're taking, and we're going to talk about this in the coming videos on some of the largest accounts that we're taking on. They're extremely exciting. At the same time, we're being extremely selective of the accounts that we're going to be taking on. We want to make sure that in the meantime, given that we know what happens when a crisis hits, the amount of headcount, the type of headcount that's required to make that successful. And so we're making sure that that is exactly what we're going to do. We're making sure that our existing customers or any of the new customers we sign on are extremely successful with the product, so that we can actually grow on that reputation and continue scaling the business as AI comes along.
Wonderful. It definitely sounds like there's going to be some more exciting updates to come along too, and I look forward in diving into those as well. But Randy, there's been a couple other things we wanted to chat about. Like, for instance, what's up when you guys have been issuing these press releases? You'd immediately issue a correction on these PRs. Can you walk people through why that's been happening a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So if you look at how we talked about the press release that we're putting out at the same time here in this video, we were using very specific words as to what we were sharing. That means we asked for permission to share what we're sharing. In the past, we've had a lot of shareholders ask us, can you just tell us what you can't tell us? Well, that means we're asking for forgiveness after we released it. And so the correction is the forgiveness. We get called up, we get slapped, and we then have to correct it in the way that the company wants us to do so. And so either we ask for permission, which 99% of the time we're not going to get any sort of permission with any sort of detail, or we ask for forgiveness, at which point you're going to see a correction.
Yeah, no, I just think it's also timing. If you want to get the press release out quickly and in a timely manner, then sometimes mistakes are going to be made. So it's that balance between getting permission and forgiveness and timing. It's a hard mix to get right.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, listen, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure this was a big press release for everyone. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure you will. Don't be afraid to leave them below and stay tuned. As Randy said, there's more exciting stuff coming soon. Greg, thank you so much for coming on. Do you gentlemen have any
My
last words
pleasure.
before we go?
I do. As some of the shareholders may remember, every few years at this time, I need to sell some shares to cover the taxes that comes from the gains on the Nubeva shares. I'm not going to do this this time. I will be donating some of my shares to a DAF, a donor advised fund. We're not going to be selling the shares. I'm going to be controlling the DAF. And so what that means is I'll be using the donation to write off the gains of the shares. And at the same time, I won't need to sell. And I will still be the controlling person of that DAF fund, which means when I sell, it'll go through the exact same rules and regulations and notices that I need to do if I were to sell the shares in the DAF versus my own shares. So in short, we're not selling any of the shares. I'm not going to sell any of the shares, but I'm using the donation, which you're going to see that announcement, in order to write off the taxes.
Wonderful. Love the transparency. Greg?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of excited to see where Nubeva goes from here. I think it's got such a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see how it goes.
Yes, and I want to wrap with thanking Greg. We've worked for decades together. It's been fantastic. Not only is he probably one of the most, if not the most brilliant person I've ever worked with, but also he is as brilliant as he is a great person to be around. So thank you.
Oh, couldn't have done it without you, Randy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Leave any questions if you have them below, and stay tuned for more coming soon.